Welcome back and thank you for staying with KTN Prime. We continue the conversations. My guest is still with me in studio, Ishmael Nyaribo, an advocate, and Fanya Mambo Kinuthia, a lawyer. And we just want to tackle the issue of IEBC. The chair interviews kicked off today. Let's not forget that there are concerns of credibility of the candidates shortlisted. Let's start with there. I mean, we have the likes of Nyachai, Divo, who have openly campaigned for President William Ruto. So you put them in such a position, then is it really a fair election?
First and foremost, IEBC was appointed way before now.
These are just formalities.
These are interviews that have to be done, and then it will go through a conveyor belt called Parliament, because the law says that it goes through that conveyor belt. The one that we know used to receive 10,000 shillings in a very comfortable room somewhere. That is the Parliament they are going to go through. But I have my word of advice.
$10,000 or shillings? Shillings.
Pale vikwa nini, gents. Now, the person I want to address, the persons I want to address is the interviewees. Number one, please make sure that if there are 7 people shortlisted, make sure you're number 6 or number 7. This country has a way of picking from bottom up, always. If you look at the late Chebukati, may he rest in peace, he was not the first, he was not among the first 3. Usually when presidents are given the list of interviewees, they start from the people with the least marks, because we reward people who have mediocre records. We reward people who we think we can play around with, and people who... So ukienda interview, just make sure if the pass mark is 50, get 51. You stand a higher chance of being appointed IEBC chairman than if you get 95, because they don't want people of integrity. Allow me to say something else that will not be very popular. There are certain communities in this country that will never head IEBC. You know those communities that usually appear to have very strong candidates coming in as president. If you're from one of those communities, just forget it. Because everybody else will feel unsafe and insecure if, for example, a Luo is IEBC chairman, or a Kikuyu, or a Kalenjin. That's a fact. In fact, people will start, can you imagine, now that President Ruto is vying again in 2027, if he will vie, and I think he might vie, and then the IEBC chairperson happens to come from his community, people will think of tribal bias. If there's a strong Luo candidate or a strong Kikuyu, so again, I can tell you, there are certain people who will lose out on those positions, not because they do not merit, but because they come from a community that is seen as dangerous for that position.
Which says a lot about our state, considering that's blatantly tribalism.
It is, but unfortunately, it's the truth that very many people will not tell you on national TV. Unfortunately, I'm telling you, it's just true.
So are you saying, Fanyamambo, that, for example, I'm aware that, you know, the people of Mount Kenya have strongly floated the name of Fred Matiang'i to contest for presidency in the 2027. Yet to be confirmed, but at least Mount Kenya have floated that name. So is the candidature of Simeon Nyachai contradicting the fact that Fred Matiang'i may want to contest? And is it a way of rigging him out already?
You know, I mean, there are a couple.
Or Maraga, for that matter, has also shown that interest. I don't know. But just before you come in, the way I look at it, Ashley, some of these people, to be fair to them, have built a career. They've come from somewhere. You could see the questions they're asking Mr. Nyachai. They're asking him things like, how did you fare on at the CIC? You know, he's been at the East African, Parliament. They are not people who have just come up. It's true when you say our other younger colleagues, like Joy Mudivo, for example, who has been deeply involved in Kenya Kwanza issues, now at the, I think, the Kenya Power. You know, these people, cut some slack for them. They have made some career steps in their lives. But I agree entirely when he says that those kind of interviews are predetermined because they are too hot to be left to a fair process. Because somebody somewhere in 19...
What do you mean they're too hot to be left?
They're too hot. I have said it here, I think it was in this station, that when you are talking about fighting for presidency, there is not one card that is below the table. Every card is here. And that is why you find when we go towards elections, people lose their lives, you know. If you're careless, certain things happen and they spoil your career completely. So there is no card that is left below the table. Every card is to be considered.
Okay.
So when you talk about we want a chairman for IEBC, I can tell you for free that the head of state is interested, the Baba is interested,
Opposition.
the opposition leaders, Kalonzo Musyoka, whoever, are interested. And therefore, even when decisions might be correct, they will be questioned by a party who is not aware how they arrived at that decision. That's why they have a selection panel, which is expected to be fair, and then they bring, you know, I mean, this was an advertisement, isn't it?
Okay.
The people who should complain are those ones who are left out. Probably they can tell us, oh, yeah, no, I was left out because of ABC.
There already are people who are complaining.
Yeah,
actually.
so they should go to court and stay this interview thing and see if they can come in. But just because 6 people have been shortlisted, or 7, to, you know, be interviewed as chair, that is what democracies do. That is what is lawful. But of course, now in Kenya, you know, we have eaten the fruit of knowledge of good and evil. So at least we can know that there is another scheme other than this interview you are seeing right here.
All right, Fanya Mambo, you want to rebuttal before we continue?
No, I think all I can say is we are happy to have IEBC. We are sitting at a position where Kenyans have said, not just chairman, if you want to go and look people from one family, not just community, just go look for one family from father, mother, children, put them there. Those members of parliament and legislators and MCAs and even presidents that we want, we will take them home. We are challenging you as Kenyans, whoever it is that you are thinking that by controlling IEBC, you are going to determine the fate of the next election. Go look for your brother, your sister, your uncle, your cousin, and even your mom. Put them there. We will still beat you at that election. The votes against you will be so many that even your own mother will come and tell you, I am the IEBC commissioner, but still, hiki tu ni moto. So for us, all we want is an IEBC because the constitution says we need to have an IEBC. And we are telling some of those people who have become very unpopular with Kenyans that even if your own sister is the returning officer in your own constituency, she will shed tears as she proclaims that my brother has lost his election. So whoever you are, if you are thinking that you are scheming to put your scheme, I am telling you, even buy Kim's kits that have got predetermined vote results. The problem is that they will not be tallying with the papers. So it will be against, and then one spoiled vote that has your name. So go put, as long as Kenyans have an IEBC, they are ready to go for election.
Fanya Mambo, it will actually be very difficult to steal elections in 2027. Though some of the Kenya Kwanza functionaries have confirmed that they don't care even if they have to rig elections at daylight. But it will be very complicated because don't forget that we have tested the powers of State House and we know to what extent they can go. So, unfortunately, there are things you can never control. The words you speak and conduct. Once, you know, people believe in conduct more than your words. So, Kenyans know to what extent they can push. And I don't think anybody would be so foolish as to steal elections in 2027. And if stealing elections doesn't happen, I don't think anybody is worried about who will go there because it will be the people's choice. Which leads us to the other issue. Are Kenyans actually preparing to vote in 2027, or they are more happy watching us discuss and analyze, and then they say, now we have won? Raila Odinga could be in State House today if he had campaigned correctly in 2022 and be as strong and spirited the normal way he used to. But he actually didn't campaign. He went behind Uhuru Kenyatta and they were assured they will win. And that's why you can see that somebody came back from far in numbers and won by 200,000 votes. So are the young people, are those who have been outside the country and they have joined back, I mean, they have come back to Kenya, have they taken their voters' cards? I mean, have they registered to vote in 2027? That is where the battlefront will be. If you don't and you leave the regimes that are there to the usual numbers, which SK Macharia quoting him, said that register is wrong, and it is the one that is used to manipulate. But otherwise, if we have a good number of youth, 5 million plus, taking their voters' cards and registering to, I know you don't take cards per se, but registering to vote, there will be no question of stealing elections in 2027.
So then my next question is, so once this commission is set up fully, there is the limitation of boundaries, there is by-elections, then there is 2027 election to prepare for. What do they go for first? What does the law stipulate?
By law, we are supposed to be doing or having done delimitation of boundaries.
Yeah.
But I do not see that happening right now. It's a very sensitive issue. Yeah. It's not practical to start with. Secondly, the constituencies will not be affected. The constitution caps the constituencies at 290. It's constitutional. So maybe they change where the boundaries go through. They can change the wards, but you can't. And also we have a bloated, I must say we have a bloated leadership. 1,490 MCAs, 290 MPs, we are overrepresented. So it is one constitutional thing that will be overlooked, unfortunately. We shall be having a constitutional problem, as it were, but I do not see IEBC being able to do the limitation of boundaries. One thing is certain, though, IEBC will be looking to do by-elections because there are people right now who are being taxed without representation.
Yeah.
We've lost some members of parliament, we've lost a senator, we've lost some MCAs. So there obviously is need to have by-elections, and that's one thing we are looking for. Kuna constituencies tulimaliza kuokota signature. We are just waiting to show, we've exercised a new part of our constitution, like the deputy president was impeached. We've seen that part works. Now we have another part we've not tried, recalling MPs. And I can tell you in certain constituencies, those signatures are ready. We've just been waiting for IEBC. So constitute it tomorrow. We are ready to go to by-elections. We want to teach some MPs a lesson so that they can respect Mwananchi.
All right, Neribo, coming to you. I mean, IEBC requested 61.7 billion for the 2027 general election. That is 19 billion more than what was used in 2022. I mean, with the deficit of trust in that particular body, do you see value for your money as a Kenyan first?
I think there is no deficit of trust at the moment because against who? I mean,
since they are not constituted,
they are being interviewed now, and I think
but you're the one who said. I mean, you two just said that this is already predetermined.
Yeah, but you see, predetermined for who? There is Joy, there is Nyachai, there is my good lawyer friend Assemble, and there are so many other people there. So we do not know. Let's wait until they are in office, and we will be able to, and we know each other anyway, so we will be able to know, no, this one is a camouflage. But we cannot say now we have mistrust on IEBC, which does not exist. So now they are asking for money. Let me say this. These things depend on a budget. You see, it is one thing to ask for a budget and another one to implement. If they ask for the budget, they are not given all 67 at one go. They will be given maybe 10 and then they are given another 20 and whatever. So let us not say that they have asked for this kind of budget to eat. There is so much that IEBC is lagging behind, and I think they must, pull up their socks and make sure they meet. But I don't agree that they should come to office to correct what has not been done, the mess that is there. In fact, if you ask me, we are 2 years shy to the elections. I don't think they should be bothered with that by-election, this by-election, and they'd be bothered about boundaries. At the moment, if you ask me, they should go into office and prepare for presidential elections, which are extremely hot. So if they need training, some of them will be coming to that commission for the first time. So for me, they should be able to go into office to conduct 2027 elections.
Yeah.
This question of going to conduct by-elections for MCA and all that, I think the problem with people, sometimes to try to resolve everything, you can never do it. Okay. So we failed. We did not have IEBC in time. We should have had this 1 year or 2 years ago, immediately after the 2022 elections. This didn't happen. So I think that the incoming team should not be overburdened by the mishaps and the mistakes that have been done by the people of Kenya not pushing so much, or by the leadership that was calculative. They wanted to have, this IEBC at a certain time so they can manipulate it. So, in my view, let this new team go straight into preparing for 2027 elections. The other mistakes can find their way to fizzle out, or how they can be managed with the time. I mean, we cannot dedicate valuable time before 2027 into other things. Even though they are constitutional and lawful, this is not the first time they are being constitutional. They have been constitutional from 2010 to now. So we should not put a lot of pressure on that one team that actually is facing another serious hurdle in 2027.
Fanyamambo, coming to you, I mean, let me just rephrase that particular question. Imagine this as a Kenyan. You spend 61.7 billion shillings on an election. Yes, it has different entities, but let's just look at the presidential election. And then 2 years or 3 years down the line, there's a handshake. From that perspective, what is the use of using all that money if at the end of the day, there will be a handshake, there will be a broad-based government, there will be nusum kate, like there will be something?
Okay, to start with, let's start from the point of commissioners. India, the biggest democracy in the world, has 910 million voters. It has 3 commissioners. IEBC India, iko na 3 commissioners. Nyinyi 52 million, 910 million voters. They have 3 commissioners. You guys are 22 million voters. You are fighting over 7 commissioners, and there was a debate of increasing them to 9. And mpaka muko na court cases, you are suing to determine who will sit in the selection panel of the commissioners. Not even who the commissioners will be. The biggest legal battle we had in court is about who will sit in the panel that will select the people who will become IEBC commissioners. It baffles me. If you take 61 billion, take your calculator and divide by 22 million voters, it means we are spending 2,800 shillings per voter. It is the most expensive election in the world. India spends 1,000 shillings per voter. UK, United Kingdom, with their economy big as it is, they spend 480 shillings per voter. Rwanda spends 112 shillings per voter. Those guys have common sense. Uganda spends 1,400 shillings per voter. Zambia spends 600 shillings per voter. Nigeria has 100 million voters, not people, voters. 100 million. They spend 1,000 per voter. Kenya shillings. What is wrong with our country? One of the things that is wrong is that we spend a lot of money buying a KIMS kit to check whether you're the one who is voting.
45,000 of them, by the way, expiring
by 2025. We needed to change that KIMS kit so that instead of checking whether you're the one who is voting, it checks your level of common sense. Whether you can vote for us, some of the leaders we see. Because believe it or not, 7 million people have queued and voted for William Ruto. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? That they queued in the sun and they had a vote in the pocket and they voted for William Ruto. Can you believe it? So we need something to just check the degree. How much common sense do you have in you to allow you to vote? So this election must be done differently. And the selection must be done differently. And we must build trust. Let me tell you, the bulk of the US votes were by post. And there was no American with stupid brains to photocopy those papers and post many times. Our ballots are known to have some of the highest security features. Because if you don't do that, an MCA can get 5 million votes. Atanunua tu photocopy machine.
So the problem is the people.
Completely. I just want to mention Fanya Mambo, you know, like this is the beauty of democracy. By the way, there are people when in America, you know, Trump, Harris, Joe Biden, there are people who are dying for Trump, and there are people who are like, there is no way we'll die for Joe. And then when Joe didn't go on, and they brought Harris, and they were like, no, it is Harris. And there are those who are going for the other third guy. That is the thing about democracy. So it may, I did not vote for William Ruto, but it doesn't surprise me that there will be people voting for him. I mean, that is the democracy. There are people who will vote for him. There are people who will vote for Baba. Now there are those who will be voting for Fred Matiang'i, and there are those ones who want to vote for, I don't know, Kalonzo Musyoka. You know, once the team comes out. Or Natembe, for that matter.
Allow me to just cut you short, because you've talked about the issue of democracy, and coincidentally, that is what we're leading with tomorrow on the issue of political intolerance. There is a rise in political intolerance in the country, especially for those who are criticizing the government. What does that say about our democracy?
I think intolerance is not part of democracy. Democracy does not tolerate intolerance, really.
Okay.
I think the reason is, well, this way I agree with him, that you wonder how some people are thinking. We have voted for a constitution that allows for picketing, allows for telling you what they want to tell you, and then all of a sudden you are like, kidnap those people, abduct them, kill, and you know, sniff around and see again who is talking against me. Then we are not building Kenya. Kenya is now a free country where people want to speak the way they want. And that's why I say it's part of democracy.
Okay.
By the way, they can vote for anyone they want. The problem is not the voting now. The problem is people are voting and giving you 10 votes and you make them 10,000 votes. That is where the problem is. If they, in a democracy, people will vote for Kenya Kwanza, for sure. That I know. In 2027, we keep saying in the streets, oh, who can vote for Kenya Kwanza? Who is going to vote for William Ruto? There will be people voting for William Ruto. There will be people voting for the other candidates. The problem is they will give you 10,000 votes and you make them 1 million. Now, this is where the problem is.
Rebuttal? Oh, you're good. Before we continue,
I'm good on that.
Oh, we have a few minutes to go. Let's talk about the Mount Kenya region tour that is set for next week, I believe 31st of March. Now, this is a region that the president has not visited in a while for various reasons that we are aware of since the impeachment of the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. But here we are. We have one Wangui Ngirishi, who's is in today's paper, who actually says that Ruto betrayed her. Then on the other hand, we have the impeached governor, Kawira Mwangaza, who equally feels betrayed. Not forgetting the former Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, equally feels, betrayed. This is a region that feels like it was let down by President William Ruto in one way or the other. How will that tour look like from where you sit, looking at the crystal ball?
Let me ask you a question, and this is for every viewer at home.
Yeah. If
you stay at home and you are a single lady, or you are a single man, you've worked so hard, you've built a house. Now, uko single, by the way, hujapata partner. And then a rat comes to your house. By the way, budgeting on your unga, it marries another rat. They give birth to 13 small rats in that house. And it's feeding those rats on your unga. And you're thinking, yani mimi niko single, sina hata family. Na huyu ako na family na watoto na feed na unga yangu. And they are prospering in my house which I built. You might want to take the single person and replace that with Rigiji. You might want to take this rat and replace it with a person I won't say, mutanipiga, sitaki kupigwa. And then these many 13 small rats that have been born, you can compare them to these things that we are calling affordable bloggers that have become too many. They eat anything, including slippers. Affordable bloggers will wake up and tell you Sha is working, and they are looking at you and their child, and we are fundraising for their child. There was one I was fundraising for this child, and he was busy blogging and saying Sha is working. Those are affordable bloggers. So you fill in the gaps for the other places. What is happening is we have a person who is claiming to unite the country by first kicking away his wife and then bringing his neighbor's wife into the house and saying, now we are uniting the country. How do you unite your house? By first sending away your wife, the one you got legally married to, and then you bring your neighbor's wife and you stay in the house and you say, actually, we are uniting the village. That is the paradox. But finally, allow me to talk about Rigiji so that we can finish that.
In 1 minute each, because we're out of time.
In 1 minute. I'll say this. Rigiji can be compared to this guy who was put in charge of a place that had very many animals. And he was given an injection. And he was told, hii shindano ni ya kudunga ndovu, ama ngamia, Those big animals, whenever they make noise, chwa, unadunga inanyama. So Rigiji takes this needle, and one time the elephant goes to Western Province and does 6 days. And in a record 6 minutes, Rigiji akadunga elephant shindano nya ikanyamaza. So one day Rigiji is sitting with his needle, and then there was a goat bleating. Bah, 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 bah. So Rigiji got angry. I think he had forgotten the instructions. Ile shindano elephant akadunga mbuzi, pa, then akadunga yote. What happened is that goat is still in the ICU. It's not even been able to do a homecoming party. I hear the president is going to, and you know the goat haikuwa na ubaya, it was just saying yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. That is the background against which Rigiji is coming.
Jerry, but let you have the final word.
I think it's a breach of national security for the presidency to ignore the mood of the people, both the people of Mount Kenya, and you saw what happened in Kibera, you saw what happened in Mathare, people being robbed in broad daylight.
Yesterday,
Nyayo
Stadium, what happened? Stadium. There were chants, anti-government chants.
The president's presence anywhere in the country is the most safest place. And that's the truth about it, because that is where all security people have trained their eyes on. They've got to keep the president safe. So I see it
apart from Salasia.
Who cares about Salasia? I mean, but I'm talking about the president's security, you understand? So I think it is, and we speak like this with honest humility, that it is sort of a breach of security nationally to take the president into a place where the masses have that bad mood, bad feeling about him, or at least about what happened with their son. So it could be, because you see, when people are enraged, like it happened in Mathare and Kibera, they steal. I hear they were even stealing weapons, they are stealing from people's pockets, they are roughing up everybody. It is not proper. I think there can come a time when you can do all this campaigning, but not at this moment. So if you ask me, Ashley, it should not be, what is compelling? What is the hurry for? The people should cool down, let the leaders, whip their people in Mount Kenya, and then at a certain time, the president can easily go and face his people. But to go there with the kifua that, I mean, we will show these people we are the ones, we are leading, it could degenerate into some kind of, insecurity, and then again, that will not be good for the country.
So let's wait and see.
So
we'll
for me,
be back here discussing that particular tour.
For me, the time to really go around the country is not now.
But in 30 seconds, in 30 seconds, President William Ruto, you're welcome to Mount Kenya. The people of Mount Kenya have really been waiting for this money. I hear there's a lot of mobilization money. The people of Mount Kenya are waiting. They want this money. Just bring it. But we have already understood the script. Na tuliambia watu wa Mount Kenya, hii pesa si ya kupeleka nyumbani. Usinunue maziwa ya mtoto na pesa ya mobilization.
Oh my God.
What you do is when you get this money, kama ulikuwa na deni mbaya ya Fuliza unalipa. Deni mbaya ya mtu unachukia unalipa. Pesa ya Kenya kwanza usipelekee mtoto wako. So just wait for the money. It's time to pay our debts. You get this money, you pay all the people that you owe bad debts, but don't feed your children on money given by mobilization. Wait for it. Do not heckle the president. Do not do bad things. Remember, you're being paid a listening allowance.
All right,
so when he comes, he pays you a listening allowance. You stay there in peace and go home. Do not heckle the president.
All right, that's a really good place to end this conversation. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Ishmael Nyaribo, an advocate, and Fanyamambo Kinuthia, a lawyer. And that's how we wrap things up. Up next is Grandstand. I'm Ashley Mazuri. Our sign language interpreter was Damian Evans. Have a good night.